Before BTS ever sold out a stadium, before they stood on the United Nations stage, before a single fan ever screamed a member's name into the night air, there was one boy in South Korea who made an impossible bet on himself. He was a prodigy-level student. His IQ tested at 148. His teachers expected him to become a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist. And instead, at 13 years old, he chose rap.
Y'all know my name is Rap Monster, not Dance Monster. You know, it's R-A-P Monster, not D-A-N-C-E Monster.
Not polished K-pop rap. Underground hip-hop. The raw, risky, invisible kind. His name was Kim Namjoon. And everything that BTS became, every record broken, every award won, every life changed, traces back to a decision this one teenager made in a bedroom in Ilsan, South Korea. This is his story. And trust me, you need to hear all of it. The boy from Ilsan, early life and childhood. Kim Namjoon was born on September 12, 1994, in Dongjak District, Seoul, and raised in Ilsan, a relatively calm suburban city just northwest of Seoul in Gyeonggi Province. From the very beginning, Namjoon was different. Not just in the way proud parents describe their children as special, actually, measurably different. His academic performance was extraordinary. By the time he reached middle school, he was consistently among the top students in his country's national examinations. His IQ was recorded at 148, placing him in the top 1% of South Korea's population. He was the kind of kid who read voraciously, who thought in layers, who asked questions that teachers struggled to answer. And in a culture as academically competitive as South Korea's, this made him a kind of walking expectation. Everyone assumed they already knew exactly who Kim Namjoon would become. But the thing about people who think deeply is that they tend to feel deeply too. And somewhere beneath the straight-A student, beneath the obedient child from a comfortable middle-class family, there was a boy who felt trapped by the neatness of the future everyone had mapped out for him. He had a younger sister. His parents were stable and loving. His childhood was not one of poverty or chaos. But it was also, in his own words, one where he struggled to feel genuinely free. That changed when he was 11 years old. And it changed because of a song. A fire called Hip Hop. The song was by Epik, a South Korean hip-hop group whose music felt unlike anything young Namjoon had encountered. It was poetic. It was angry. It was honest in a way that polished pop music never was. He played it over and over. Then he started listening to American rap, Eminem, Nas, Tupac, artists who used words like weapons, who turned personal pain into public art. By age 13, Kim Namjoon wasn't just a fan. He was already writing. His notebooks, meant for school notes, filled with lyrics. His poetry, sharp and searching, evolved into rap verses. He gave himself a stage name, Runch Randa, and entered the underground rap scene in Seoul. This was not a small thing. South Korea's underground hip-hop scene in the late 2000s was tight-knit, respected artistically but completely separate from the commercial idol industry. The people Namjoon rapped alongside were older, more experienced, and entirely skeptical of anything that smelled like mainstream entertainment. To be accepted there, you had to be real. And Namjoon was real. He built a reputation quickly. His wordplay was layered. His delivery was confident. Other underground rappers began to take notice of this unusually young, unusually articulate kid from Ilsan. Within that world, he wasn't a prodigy student. He was just a rapper, and a good one. But behind the stage name and the growing reputation, there was still a choice looming. His parents didn't know the full extent of his double life. School demanded one version of him. Music demanded another. Something had to give. The audition that changed everything. In 2010, when Namjoon was 15 years old, he made what many would have called a reckless decision. He auditioned for Big Hit Entertainment, a small, financially struggling music label run by a producer named Bang Si-hyuk. Went by the nickname Hitman Bang. Big Hit was not one of the big three agencies. It had no hit artists. It had no guaranteed path to success. Every rational calculation said this was a mistake. But Bang Si-hyuk heard something in Namjoon that none of his teachers had looked for. He described him as reflective, sophisticated, and philosophical. He didn't just hear rap skills, he heard a voice that could say something meaningful. He signed him. Namjoon became Big Hit's first official trainee. He moved into the company dorms on August 14, 2010, choosing the stage name Rap Monster, a nod to his belief that rap was a monster force capable of consuming and transforming everything it touched. Training was not glamorous. At Big Hit in those early years, resources were thin. Namjoon practiced dance, something he had almost no background in. He trained his vocals. He studied music production. He wrote ceaselessly. But most importantly, he watched as Bang Si-hyuk began assembling, one by one, the group that would eventually become BTS. Here is where the story gets interesting. Each new member who arrived, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, Jimin, V, Jungkook, was different in background, personality, and skill set. But Namjoon was the connective tissue. He was the first. He set the tone. And as the group formed, it became clear that he would be its leader, not through appointment alone, but through an almost gravitational pull of intelligence, vision, and care. But leading a group you've helped build toward a debut that might fail spectacularly? That's not inspiration. That's pressure. Debut and the early storms. BTS officially debuted on June 13, 2013, with a single album, Too Cool for School. The debut track, No More Dream, was a hip-hop-drenched challenge to South Korean society's obsession with academic achievement and conventional success. The irony of Kim Namjoon, the 148 IQ student who'd been told his whole life to become something respectable, rapping about the exact pressure that had nearly crushed his authentic self, was not lost on anyone who knew his story. But the debut didn't explode. Not immediately. BTS started from almost nothing in terms of industry backing. They didn't have the marketing budgets of their competitors. They didn't have the idol grooming machine of the big agencies. What they had was music that said something, and a fan base that slowly, genuinely connected with that something. Those early years were brutal. Namjoon documented them in interviews, in lyrics, in rare, unguarded moments. There were financial difficulties. There were industry barriers. There were people in the Korean entertainment world who were openly dismissive of this scrappy group from a small label trying to make hip-hop influenced music when what the market wanted was sleek pop. And Namjoon bore a unique burden in all of it. As leader, he was the spokesperson. He was the one who, when things went wrong, had to address it. He was the one who, in a country where group harmony is culturally paramount, had to navigate 7 distinct personalities under extraordinary pressure. He was 19 years old. The rise, and the weight of it. Slowly, then all at once, BTS began to break through. The years 2015 to 2017 saw them build a dedicated international fan base, the ARMY, at a pace that defied industry logic. This wasn't bought through corporate infrastructure. It grew organically, through social media, through music that resonated, through a group that was visibly genuine in ways the industry had trained audiences not to expect. And through all of it, Namjoon was the English-speaking bridge. Here's a fact that still astonishes people. RM taught himself English almost entirely by watching the American sitcom Friends. He studied dialogue, mimicked pronunciation, built vocabulary through sheer obsessive repetition, and developed such fluency that he became BTS's primary English language communicator with international media, interviewers, and eventually, world leaders. In 2018, BTS addressed the United Nations General Assembly in New York, an almost unthinkable platform for a K-pop group. It was RM who stood at that podium. He spoke without a translator. He addressed young people around the world about self-worth, identity, and the courage to speak even when your voice shakes. The speech went viral.
No matter who you are, where you're from, your skin color.
It was reprinted, excerpted, analyzed. It reminded the world that pop music and genuine depth were not mutually exclusive. But behind the growing legend, Namjoon was also quietly struggling. He spoke openly, more openly than most public figures ever do, about loneliness, about identity, about the strange grief of barely being able to exist as Kim Namjoon while RM consumed all available space. He described spending most of his life as a persona, while the person underneath barely had room to breathe. The artist, solo work and creative identity. In 2015, RM released his first solo mixtape, simply titled RM. It was raw, personal, and critically respected in hip-hop circles. In 2018, he followed it with Mono, a playlist-style mixtape that was meditative, melancholy, and beautiful, exploring themes of solitude and the city at night. Forever Rain from that project became one of the most beloved entries in the entire BTS catalog. By 2022, RM released Indigo, his first full studio album as a solo artist. Indigo was something extraordinary, a collaborative project featuring an almost unprecedented roster of artists across genres and disciplines, including jazz musicians, experimental producers, and poets. The album landed at number 3 on the Billboard 200. More importantly, it was a statement. RM is not just a rapper. He is an artist with a philosophy and a worldview. Then came Right Place, Wrong Person in 2024, released just before his military enlistment. Critics called it his most personal work yet. Tracks like Come Back to Me and Lust capture the feeling of being out of alignment with your own life, of searching for something you can't quite name. Many fans later said the album felt like a farewell letter before a long journey. Beyond music, RM became one of the most prominent art collectors and advocates in South Korea. He visited museums the way other celebrities visit clubs. He co-narrated audio guides for Korean art exhibitions. He pushed his fan base toward galleries, toward literature, toward the idea that beauty exists in unexpected places. His passion for contemporary art, especially Korean art, became a genuine cultural force. As of June 2025, RM holds 231 songwriting credits registered with the Korea Music Copyright Association, making him the youngest and second most credited songwriter in Korea history. Pause here for a moment. He is 30 years old. Military service and the return. In December 2023, RM enlisted in the South Korean military alongside fellow members V and Jungkook. He was assigned to the Special Forces, the most physically demanding branch of mandatory service. Now, if you don't know the context of Korean mandatory military service for K-pop stars, here's why it matters so much. Every male South Korean citizen is required to serve. For idols at the height of their careers, it means stepping completely away from the spotlight for roughly 18 months. No performances, no albums, no social media presence, just service. For RM, a man who had spent literally his entire adult life as a public figure, this was not just a logistical pause. It was an existential experience. And he had told fans, in the albums and interviews leading up to enlistment, that in some ways he was quietly looking forward to the chance to exist, simply, as Kim Namjoon for a while. He was discharged from military service on June 10, 2025. On May 26, 2025, just weeks before his discharge, RM won the award for Favorite K-pop Artist at the American Music Awards, becoming the first K-pop artist to win this award both as part of a group and as a solo artist. He wasn't even there in person. The award came to him. And in May 2025, he and Korean hip-hop legend Tableau of Epik High released Stop the Rain, a full-circle moment. The artist whose journey began with Epik High lyrics now collaborating as an equal with his earliest inspiration, the lesser-known stories. Here is where the biography becomes something more human. RM's childhood nickname was Talkbox, because even as a small child, he could not stop talking. He was famously, persistently, endlessly verbal. He has admitted, with characteristic self-deprecating humor, that he cannot blow a bubble with bubblegum. He has never successfully done it. Not once. He was called dance prodigy among BTS members, sarcastically, by his own admission, because his dancing when he first joined Big Hit was notably rough around the edges. He worked on it relentlessly. He never became the group's best dancer. But he became good enough, and more importantly, he never let it stop him. He still, as of 2020, did not have a driver's license. He is famously accident-prone with objects. Members have joked for years about destruction by RM when items near him mysteriously break. During his military service, he learned to play the saxophone. He performed Dynamite on it for fellow members when Jin was discharged. Reports say the audience was more moved by the gesture than by the quality of the playing. And perhaps most tellingly, he once said in an interview that his main goal in life is to truly love himself, while acknowledging that loving yourself is not a destination you reach. It is a state of mind you have to work toward, every single day. For all his records, his speeches, his albums, his cultural influence, this is perhaps the most honest and relatable thing Kim Namjoon has ever said. Impact and legacy. What does it mean to measure the impact of RM? You could measure it in numbers: 231 Korea songwriting credits, Grammy nominations, UN addresses, a Billboard #3 solo album, an AMA that no Korean solo artist had ever won before, a collaboration with Megan Thee Stallion, a record as the youngest person in Korea history to hold that many credits. But the numbers miss something. RM's real impact is in the generation of young people, particularly young men, who heard BTS speak openly about loneliness, about mental health, about identity, and felt, perhaps for the first time, that those things were allowed to be discussed. His UN speech reached people who had never listened to K-pop. His art advocacy brought new audiences to Korean contemporary art. His willingness to be publicly imperfect, clumsy, uncertain, endlessly searching, gave permission to millions of fans to be imperfect too. He built the bridge. Before BTS was a global phenomenon, before the world had learned to listen, RM was the one standing at the edge, speaking across the gap, building trust word by word in a language he taught himself from a television show. He is the reason BTS was able to say anything, to anyone, anywhere. Mid-script CTA. Before we continue, if you're finding this story as compelling as we do, hit that subscribe button right now. We are building one of the most detailed, most honest documentary archives about BTS and the artists who shaped global music. New videos every week. Don't miss a single one. Now, where were we? What comes next? With military service complete as of June 2025, RM re-enters a world that has changed, and hasn't changed, in ways only he can fully appreciate. BTS's reunion is underway. All 7 members are out of service. The chapter that fans have been counting the days toward is finally beginning. But RM has also made clear, in countless interviews, that he is not simply going back to who he was before.
His solo work has grown. His artistic voice has matured.
He has spent nearly 18 months living as Kim Namjoon rather than RM. And that experience, whatever it contained, will find its way into music.
It always does.
His appointment as global ambassador for the Samsung Art TV in June 2025 signals that the world of art, not just pop music, continues to claim him as a figure of authority and taste. And Tableau, his childhood hero turned creative collaborator, said of their Stop the Rain collaboration simply, "He is the real thing." Coming from Epik High, the group that lit the spark in an 11-year-old in Ilsan, that is perhaps the most complete sentence in Kim Namjoon's story so far. The boy who was supposed to be a doctor chose rap. The rapper who was supposed to fail built a bridge between cultures. The leader who was supposed to maintain the image told the truth anyway. And the truth, as it turns out, traveled further than any choreography or chart position ever could.
Kim Namjoon, Runch Randa, Rap Monster, RM Kim Namjoon again. All the same person. All chapters of a story that is nowhere near its final page.
If this documentary gave you something, a new angle, a deeper appreciation, a feeling you couldn't quite name, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. We have 6 more BTS member documentaries coming, and each one will go just as deep.
Because these stories deserve to be told properly. And they are just getting started.